Welcome back, and let's get to the title race, which looks like it could well be over after Manchester City beat Chelsea 1-0 to move 13 points clear at the top of the table. Kevin De Bruyne's second-half goal extending City's winning runs to 12 games. So it was his moment of magic sealing the win. Is the title race over for you, Andy?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right. Go on. Tell me why.
I'm looking at Manchester City now, and obviously winning yesterday. You know, to go 13 points clear. Where do you see from now to the end of the season Manchester City dropping 13 points? The form they're in now is imperial. You know, the players they've got, that's really score goals, create chances. But looking at them yesterday, they're a special team. And they're playing some real good football. And they deserve to be in the position they're in because they've been the best team at this far in the season. And I think he's going to be comfortable for them. I think it just depends on now how many points they're going to win it by.
Really?
Me personally, I think it's done by March. Yeah, I think it's done by March.
Might hold you to that. I'll be back on then.
Well, your team did it, didn't they? Your Manchester United team did it. When was that?
I'm not sure what year it was. When we missed the FA Cup, playing the World Club Championship, and then we lost our first game there, and the manager basically let us recharge. We come back after a week, and I think we're still 5-6 points clear of Arsenal, and we won it by March.
Now, because I was thinking of that yesterday, when you consider City, the FA Cup tie against Swindon was a week ago last Friday. They've effectively had a 2-week break. They've recharged their batteries. You looked at them yesterday. The thing that struck me most, obviously that goal was a thing of beauty, but the thing that struck me most yesterday is that there were moments where Chelsea just couldn't breathe. You know, the energy in their press, in the City press, the way that they were just all over the place. They seemed to have one, maybe even two men extra at times, and they were really, really impressive. And I think you do look at the rest of the season and you think, who could beat them? And even if they were to drop points, they could well be so far over the hill by then it won't matter.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal performance, was it? Against, you know, the champions of Europe. We've not let us forget that. But it feels like both Chelsea and Liverpool have had dips where City just haven't. Yeah,
and I think, but both teams you mentioned, they've had dips. And like you said, Manchester City haven't. But you look at them and they don't look like they're going to have a dip. I think their squad is so deep, the quality of players they have, and they're relentless as players. When you talk about mentality, when you talk about attitude and dressing room, whatever you want to talk about, those players, they show it week in, week out in the Premier League, in the Cup, in the Champions League, because they want to go down as the best ever team. You can't take anything away from the players, naturally the manager, but however you look at it, the manager sets you up and the players have to deliver, and they do deliver.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Guardiola was seeing him, and I remember when he arrived and he was talking about the whole concept of tackling, and you know, he was more about the game intelligence. And I remember the reaction in our industry, in the media industry, and he's very much having the last laugh now because it quite literally changed the game. You see his teams now, doesn't play with an orthodox striker. You see the intensity of the players. You know that when you look at a Guardiola side, you can take any player out and you can put another player in. They all know their jobs. They are efficient. They're defensively strong. Offensively, they've got multiple points of attack. You don't know how you're going to stop them. There's a good piece by Barney Roney in The Observer today saying when you look at the league table, the thing you're most drawn to is the fact that they've lost twice. It must be a mistake. You know, how could this City team lose to any team in the Premier League because they are so strong? Shall I take you through a couple of papers?
You can do, yes. That's what you're here for. I mean, kind of.
Well, I'll take you to the Sunday Times first. A league of their own is the headline. That strike of world-class quality. We've seen it a couple of times a second ago. Look at the subject there. De Bruyne sends City 13 points clear. And I think that distance is, you've got to bear in mind with that performance rather yesterday. There was no Diaz on the pitch, no Fernandinho, Gundogan also on the bench. Jesus came on late. That's the kind of quality they're able to keep on the bench. And I'm going to just spin you through a couple of the things that people are saying in the other papers as well, because Jonathan Northcroft says in the Sunday Times they're threatening to lap the opposition in a supposed classic race. 12 wins on the spin, 13 points clear, goal difference 41. At the moment, City are in a race of their own. It's not that rivals can't produce performances of comparable excellence. It's City's capacity for brilliance and thirst for victory, game after game after game, month after month, year after year. That is unmatchable. Andy Dunn's Sunday Mirror, the Man of the Match award belonged to a group of players that are becoming one of the most formidable units in the history of English club football. Barney Roney, I told you about that with the glitch in the table and the fact that they've lost twice. And Ollie Holt in the Mail on Sunday says Chelsea may have won last season's Champions League, but the present and the future belongs to City. He said the gap in quality between the two sides was impossible to disguise.
Well, look, let's talk about that because, you know, you also showed that paper there with the subdeck and there was a mention of Tuchel and Lukaku. I wanted to draw your attention, Andy, to what happens to Lukaku in so-called the Big Six games, because we've been looking at this. Certainly my producer got this up. And this is his stats. You know, 29 appearances against the so-called Big Six teams, 2 goals from Lukaku. Now, Tuchel was cross yesterday, saying that, you know, we didn't take our opportunities, we missed opportunities, and he did talk about Lukaku as well. Is that what they brought him in for, though? This is the £100 million that they needed, a player like him, to score against your rivals.
Yeah, of course, you bring him to score goals, not just against the Big Six, but everybody. You know, and I think when you're playing against the bigger teams, you know, your chances are halved. You know, you might only get one chance. Yeah. And ultimately, because they're looking at him as a £100 million player, he's got to take that one chance. You know, it doesn't happen like that sometimes. If you look at the chance he had there yesterday, I sent you down, I just think he's opened up too early. And he kind of like, he's telegraphed it that he's going to go there. But if he reverses it, he sends the goalkeeper the wrong way and he scores, you know. But the goalkeeper's doing his job. And sometimes I think we're disrespectful goalkeepers for saving it. That's their job. And the centre forward, if he misses it, or as we say, we perceive it as a miss when the goalkeeper makes a save. Yeah.
Carly, you were a striker who thrived obviously on terrific service at United. Could you see why Tuchel was so frustrated when he jumped up from the bench, seemed to be punching the air? There was a moment when Ziyech could have put Lukaku in down the right-hand side. Could you see why he was so frustrated?
Yeah, I could see that because that is Lukaku's strength, running in behind. You know, and if he gets the right pass, he's in, and then you'd back him to score because that's what he wants. You know, so I can understand Tuchel's frustration there because you get yourself in that position in the game. That's what he wants. And he wants Lukaku in those positions to get on and try and score from there. So, but I just touched on, when you play in those games, you might only get one chance. And if you look at Rom had one chance in the end. You know, the goalkeeper saves it. If he gets in there, that could have been his first chance, and he ends up scoring. It's 1-0, so it's a totally different scenario.
And I guess when you play in those games, you get less service because so there's a whole heap of things that would mean as a striker you wouldn't get what you would normally get. Do you feel pressure going into those games as well? Because I guess they must have looked at this and thought 13 points, and like we're all talking this morning, the title's over. So it's huge amount of pressure on Chelsea.
You go into the game yesterday, i.e. Chelsea go into the game right, saying basically we need to win. If we've got any, possible thought of winning the league, we've got to win this game. And you go in there with a little bit more pressure, but that's what you want. As a centre forward, that's what you want, because you're saying to yourself, right, if I only get one chance, I'm going to have to take that one chance. You know, if you score, you're the hero. You end up winning the game 1-0 or whatever maybe. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And yesterday for Chelsea, there was banking on those 1 or 2 chances. And if you take those 1 or 2 chances, you know, it's a different outcome on the game. Just very briefly, because we are running out of time, were you surprised by Thomas Tuchel's selection? You know, Mason Mount and Jorginho weren't in that team. Were you surprised by that? I'm not surprised, because if you look at that area, Chelsea have so many good players there. You know, if you look at the players you ended up playing yesterday, the good players. You know, I think Chelsea just have a little bit of that problem like Manchester City. They've got a lot of good players in midfield. You know, different players, but a lot of good players.
I hear you.